Hey guys, welcome back. We are here for another day in Pisgah. So since it's a good chance that we're going to encounter some rain, I brought my Hero 7 instead of my Hero 4 for this ride. It's the first time I'm going to record a ride completely without a gimbal. See how the hyper smooth does. And we are going to be riding Pilot Rock. Well, Laurel Mountain into Pilot Rock, which is a pretty classic Pisgah loop. So after about 50 to 55 minutes of fire road, because one of the gates was closed and we had to park pretty far away, we're actually starting Laurel Mountain, which is how we're gonna get to the top of Pilot Rock. I think I see some ice. I love how these valleys look when you're kind of riding on the ridge.
The climb up Laurel Mountain is quite scenic, and despite sharing some similarities with other places in Pisgah, the combination feels rather unique. The squiggly trees, which I don't know the name for, and the bright green moss on the ground make these tunnels part of the appeal of riding this trail. Combined with the open areas with small valleys to look down into, this is a climb that shouldn't be boring for anyone, especially when you consider that
most of the climb is pretty mellow, but as you start to get towards the top, it steepens up quite a bit. We're so far up that it's also windier and colder. So if I'm not mistaken, like a 2,000 feet vert difference. It's nice when they build stuff like that instead of just cutting the tree and throwing it off the trail. This top section has this crazy little hike-a-bike, but thankfully it's not too long. It's much shorter than Black Mountain, for example. It seems like the rain has caught up with us. We had done pretty well so far, but guess we'll have to deal with it. So this is definitely a first for me. We're getting sleet. I don't know if it's visible. It's probably visible there. Look at that. So we mistimed the rain just slightly, but we're at the top, so it's not that bad. Kind of stopped, but it's better to be prepared. Last push. If I'm not mistaken, this is a crazy hike-a-bike, and we're at the top. Almost. Send it. Okay, we're finally done climbing Laurel Mountain, and we're making our way into Pilot Rock. The beginning is nice and flat, but don't be deceived. As soon as we start going, it gets steep and rocky. So what do you guys think of the Hero 7 as a camera so far? Has it been good? Living up to the expectations? Significantly worse than the 4? Acceptable? Give me some feedback, because for rain rides, it's the only option I have, so it's actually great to have it.
since I mentioned rain rides, and this is a subject every time, I wanted to get this out of the way. Not every trail manages water in the same way. Depending on the composition of the soil and the amount of rocks, some places do just fine with mild rain, especially with small drizzles like we got this day. And some others, like Dupont for example, don't do well with any water at all. It's really about knowing which place to ride with what quantity of rain. Of course, if it's an absolute thunderstorm out there, don't go ride any trails. If you're not exactly sure where you can or can't ride depending on the conditions, the best bet is always to ask the locals. In the case of Pisgah, the guys at the hub have always given us straightforward and honest advice, including sometimes not to ride at all. We chose to ride Pilot Rock this day precisely because we knew we would have to deal with small showers here and there, and wanted to ride a trail that manages water well.
Tree! Funny, Ricardo has gotten so much faster on that SB130. I used to be able to keep up and even catch him if he got away. And with this bike, I'm working so hard and he still pulls away from me. Little dab there. Oh, I love this section. It's so open. You okay? So this section is great when it's not all cloudy because you have the view of the valley over there. It's pretty amazing. But today we just gotta enjoy the fogginess of it, I guess. So I've done this, but with the rocks much drier. I don't know if I can do it with everything this wet. A little sloppy, but success.
The best part of Pilot Rock, to me, is that despite being a sanctioned and mapped trail, it feels mostly like a bandit trail you'd find someplace in the backcountry. You'll hear nothing else than the pitter-patter of your tires, the brushing of your bar on the leaves, and the occasional bird. Ruts are left almost untouched, and are in some places crazy deep. Roots aren't trimmed, and loose rocks line a lot of the sections of the trail.
These switchbacks are a ton of fun. They're rocky, they're rooty, they're kind of murderous in a good way, if that's possible. It's really a tough, techie, challenging trail.
In reality, some sections have a tiny bit of work on them, but it's the absolute least that has to be done to keep this trail viable. Aside from that, builders have left it as natural as can be, and I think that's one of the things that makes this trail absolutely fantastic.
It's funny because when you're climbing, you can be suffering all the way through. It's like, this is terrible. I hate this. And then you make it to this amazing downhill, and it's all worth it, and you just want to do it all again tomorrow. If it were dry, this is rideable.
This rock field, about 3/4 of the way down, is the only section where technical pedaling comes into play. There's a few outlines over the rocks that look quite interesting. I've never tried them, as despite having ridden this trail 4 times, I've never gotten to do it in completely dry weather. As you progress on from here, the trail gets a tiny bit less steep and starts to show more diagonal routes crossing the trails, which will push your rear end out a lot, making it one of the sections where line choice matters the most. Despite the GoPro effect not helping us here, the same line choice argument is true for most of the switchbacks, as they're quite tight, and if you want to get them without hopping around, you're going to have to come in super wide.
Alright, I could have done that. Well, you can probably notice I'm going slower, and it's my upper arms are killing me. There is no other excuse than I have to f***ing hit the gym.
Florida trails may be great at training for a variety of riding situations, but if there's one thing that we can practice is arm pumps from prolonged descending. I'm starting to think I need to weight train for this if I want to be able to do the Pisgah Enduro, but more on that on a later video.
Well guys, that is it. This is the bottom of Pilot Rock. got this little bridge to cross, and then well, there's like 100 more yards of trail, but it's just basically the exit. So there we go, beginning to end of Pilot Rock. I hope you had fun with me today. I will see you for the next one. Happy riding.
We fucking conquered it. Fucking did it, man. Fucking did it.
That was great.
Yeah.
My upper arms are killing me. I need to go to the gym because I couldn't go faster because it was hurting too much.
Fucking burns, man. That's the hands.